to CRA.
Monica, two of the students you just had in the CRC Academy. This is a great way to introduce this. Me and Monica are here talking about jobs being outsourced to Latin America, but there's other jobs being created here. Two of the students, Monica Cuetiva is the co-founder and the instructor, the legendary Monica Cuetiva of the CRC Academy, right? Um, so two of your students got recently.
Yeah, so that I have students that in Latin America that got hired in Latin America. They're working completely remote. Um, one of them, one of the requirements was that they speak many languages, to speak three languages, to speak English, Spanish,
Wait,
and
wait,
Portuguese
hold on. Okay, so two of our students from the CRC Academy
in
that
Latin
live in the
America.
US or they live in Latin America.
Yeah, they were planning to move to US, but now
Okay.
they don't need to.
Ah, what countries was this? Were
So
this?
one is in Colombia.
Shout out to
The
Colombia.
yeah, the other one is in Argentina.
Ah,
Okay,
okay.
both of them.
Viva Argentina, arriba la
Yeah,
bandera.
yeah. So one of them speak the one in Argentina speak English and Spanish, right? Two
Right.
languages. The one in Colombia speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Okay,
Okay,
so
so they
that was
both
part.
wanted to move here prior to the
Yeah,
academy. Then they
yeah.
did the academy, and they
And
ended up getting
now
hired in their countries
Latin
that they're at.
America, exactly. So they're not gonna move anymore.
And they got hired not as CRCs, but as CRAs.
No, they got
Oh,
hired in different positions. So one of them is coordinating sites. So she's like a startup, she's gonna be a startup specialist for sites in basically all Latin America and including
ah,
Brazil, including
that's a
Brazil.
role. That is a role that has been getting outsourced from the United States
Yes,
to
yes,
Latin
yes,
America.
yes.
Okay.
And then the other one, the other student, so he's gonna start it's similar to what she's gonna be doing because he's gonna be working with the regulatory documentation and all of that. So it's like an entry level, and then he will go to the coordinating the site the startup as a whole, right?
That's the one from Argentina?
Yeah, but the beauty of this is that these two students, I keep on telling the students in class that when they take our class, because we make them generalists, they will have the opportunity to wear many different hats, right? Like regulatory specialists, let's say managing all the data or answering queries or all of that. They can be doing creating the source documents, for example, dedicating just to create source documents for a site, or somebody that, like, let's say they want to volunteer somewhere to start to look for studies. I mean, they can do many different things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So these two students, this is actually the third story of students that got the idea for the regulatory. One of them is also our lovely student that works with the Harvard. She also did that. So they start just masterizing those classes, masterize it. And then the person from Colombia, she called me and she said, they asked me if I ever did anything in Brazil, like any regulatory documentation, anything. And I told her, well, you already have the essentials, right? From basically, the essentials are basically kind of the same all over the world. So I recommended her to go and Google what are the documents specific in Brazil. And she did. She did the interview and she got hired. Right? She got hired with a big organization in the United States. I'm not
Uh-huh.
gonna say the name, but it's a big organization.
One of the big
That
ones.
yeah. And then so these two persons are right now working, right? She actually sent me a message this morning that this being her first week. It's been a lot of work, a lot of training, but I'm sure she's gonna conquer that. And
So this is a
then
trend now. It's not in a 2024, it's July 2024. It's almost 2025. This is now a trend for Latin America is taking off. It's been long overdue. I This year I visited Mexico City. Monica, when I say blown away, like blown away, there was one particular neighborhood, like a large, I mean, Mexico City is the biggest city in North America, but this one neighborhood, like a large neighborhood, was like Research Triangle Park, but for in Mexico. Like it was every CRO you could name, every big sponsor you could name had a headquarters there. And I met with some folks from, Ivan from PPD.
Hmm.
They are hungry, they are knowledgeable, their English is perfect. It's not, and they're in the ta same time zone as the US.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
this stuff, I mean, it's only natural that a lot of these jobs, the CROs have nowhere left to grow, really. So all they have to do now is squeeze profits, and that means cut costs. And if you can get the same project manager or the same startup specialist like these students in Mexico City and pay them, let's face it, like 1/10 of what they pay here,
Yeah. Hmm.
why wouldn't you do it? And this is not, I know like the US people are gonna say, well, this sucks, this is not fair for me. There's things you can do here in this country to make yourself marketable.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, so I was gonna mention. Then, so I got this week has been successful. Well, last week and this week has been. I've been hearing a lot of successful things from the students, because yesterday I also received a message from another of our students saying that she got promoted to a CRA2 now.
Mhm.
So she started with us in 2008 for one of the
In the
big
US.
organizations
In
in
the
the
US.
US.
Because
In
the
the US.
majority of our students are US students.
Yeah, the majority. Uh-huh. But we do have internationals.
And I have a feeling that might increase now with the
Yeah. Uh-huh.
like the CRO boom. You remember how the CRO was had a hiring boom in the US here during COVID, like right after COVID.
Yeah. Hmm.
I think they're having a hiring boom in Latin America right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, in Latin America, there are not many people that know so much about research. So if we have a
Uh,
shortage here in Latin America, it's gonna be even more common
they're
because
even
there is no
stricter. They're even stricter. In
exactly.
Mexico, I don't know about all of Latin America. I assume they're all similar. In Mexico, like you know how here in the US you can be anything. You could be a bachelor of economics. You don't need a bachelor. You can have a GED and work in
Hmm.
research. In Mexico,
Hmm.
you have to have a science related degree.
Yeah, same in Colombia.
See?
Same in
So
Colombia.
it's
Hmm.
strict. So
Hmm.
it's gonna be even harder to find people there.
Yeah. So that's why when I have these students that come from overseas, um, particular Latin America, I know for a fact that they're gonna be hired quick,
Yeah.
especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a lot of doctors that have taken our classes in Latin America, so I know they're gonna get hired now. Um, and then here we have a lot. We still have a lot of opportunities in United States, especially for coordinators at the
Yeah.
sites. Right.
Yeah.
So we were talking, what would you see on the hires that make them more appealing to you or to, I mean, to any site, right? So what do you think about that, Dan? Well, what is something that you look at when you're hiring a coordinator?
The willingness to learn. The first, it's the ambition. Like I don't want someone to work for us and then in 2 weeks quit. I've already had that happen twice
Mm,
at my site, and I've hired maybe 9 people total, maybe 10. And two of those 10, within less than a month, let's say, went to a new job. And that's 20%. That's a big number for me. So I essentially wasted money and time on those two people, and I got it wrong. And that's very careful hiring. I didn't just hire the first people that came around. No, like rounds of interviews. I still ask like the question. I tried with all my experience to see who's likely to stay, and I still get it wrong.
mm-hmm,
So what I look for first above anything else is a good attitude, and an
Hmm.
interest in research. Because that's gonna make you, if you're already interested, it's less likely you're gonna leave.
That you're gonna live. Yeah.
And probably from the two that did leave, yeah, they probably both, there were signs during the interviews that not that they were not interested, but there were not enough signs pointing to like overwhelming interest. And it's hard to get because when you need someone, you're not going to be that picky, right? Like otherwise they were excellent people. Like they could have been excellent coordinators. But,
Hmm.
they left and they didn't leave on bad terms, but they're like, "Hey, listen, Border Patrol's paying me, almost double what you are paying. I know you're gonna increase the pay fast, but they're doing it right now." Like I understand, obviously you gotta do it. So the passion to get through the first year, I need to see that there. I need to see signs of that there, and I know majority of sites do
Yeah.
too.
I think sometimes is the lack of understanding of all the potential that research has to,
Yeah, yeah,
because some people just see the small picture, they don't see the big scenario and how big their career can go in the future, right? Especially like I explained, people that starting as a coordinator is not an entry level position. However, it's a great way to start in the industry because it gives you such a solid foundation for your career. I mean, from the standpoint of a coordinator, you can basically grow your career in
anywhere,
all the possible scenarios and paths that you can think of.
everywhere, everywhere. The biggest generalists in this space are coordinators, like the biggest potential for being generalists.
And then you can see from that position all the potential paths. Like, for example, if somebody, after working as a coordinator, realizes that they had a knack for regulatory, that's a big career. Like, I mean, becoming a, how you call a regulatory, how
Yeah,
you
like
call
look at
regulator.
Samantha, the one
Yeah,
you mentioned earlier,
that
Samantha
yeah,
Anderson, right?
exactly. She's just like, I mean, thriving in that. Then we have people that specialize in data management or in that kind of path. By having the experience as a coordinator, you're gonna be the best in your area. um I mean, and many different other positions, like we have students that studied as coordinators, and right now after 2 3 years they are in careers that they didn't even imagine before. So it is very interesting.
Yeah, and that's what we look for above everything else, right? You gotta be interested, like beyond average interest. And I still break this rule a lot because at the end of the day, it's not what I want, it's what the market gives me. And luckily, the eight from those 10 that didn't quit, there's still, well, some didn't quit research, but they went to like move into another city. They're still working in research. Shout out to Daisy, by the way. She did the CRC Academy. By the way, all of our staff did the CRC Academy, even the ones that quit. Even the ones that quit. Remember the one I told you is going to teach CRC Academy? I could still message her about it. She's the one that quit. She's a phlebotomist. Excellent,
Oh
like
yeah,
the best. So she got hired by a,
it's the
and she
same with my
couldn't turn
coordinators.
down the
Yeah,
money.
they took the class. One of them was a student, and she happened to move to California, and I needed somebody. And because I knew she was good already, I hired her. And then
Yeah.
the other one, she was our phlebotomist, but I saw how she was treating patients, the way she was connecting with patients, how organized she was. Every time she was doing the phlebotomy part, she would come early to organize the kids to make sure that everything was ready. And I just like, oh, I want this
Mhm.
woman. And I was not wrong. She is so
She's still
amazing.
with you?
Like, yeah, amazing. This person is so amazing. Like, she's very organized.
Bring her on the
She's
show.
very,
Bring her
I'm
on.
gonna, I already told her.
Okay. And if you want
She's
that
a,
phlebotomist instructor, she said she's open to still work with us, so she can
okay,
teach the
that part.
phlebotomy. Yeah.
Yeah. She's, okay. So then my coordinator, shout out to Desiree. She's super organized. She speaks two languages too. She speaks English and Spanish. The other one also speaks two languages. She speaks English and German.
German.
Yeah,
Chris Sauber would love her.
yeah. Um, so I mean, obviously having a second language is a plus, but there are other pluses that you could have too, that you can create your own like that you can improve yourself. Like for example, when I have students in class, I tell them to masterize, for example, looking for studies or masterize creating the source documents. Those little things that you can have a sidekick for that, right? A
Yep.
side business on that, or even volunteering aside to start so they can see your potential.
Side gig. I wrote an article. I think side gigs, especially in the US, are going to come back in research, especially with the outsourcing happening in Latin America. I think this is a very important topic no one's talking about. The outsourcing of jobs to Latin America, for good or for bad. Obviously, if you're in Latin America, it's great. If you're in the US and you've been laid off, it's horrible. But you can't get overly excited or overly upset. Like if you're watching in Latin America, like just use the outsourcing as a model for what may happen eventually with you. But it might
Mm-hmm,
not be another country anymore. It might be AI at some point that
mm-hmm,
outsources you. So take advantage while you can. Like Monica's saying, become a generalist. If you're in the US, it's not too late, but I think start at a site. There are plenty of sites. Knock on wood, Monica, my site's busy. It's not slowing down. I don't think yours is either. The small sites that have not reached their peak yet are still doubling revenue like every year, every 2 years. They're the ones gonna be hiring, and they're not easy to find. You have to Google, like nobody knows Yuma Clinical Trials or Clarity Clinical. Like it's not a household name,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
But
and the majority of the time we do not advertise the job opportunities,
us
right?
either. We don't do
So
any. Only
that's what
one we need,
happens with the
really need one.
majority of sites. Exactly. The majority of the time, the sites do not advertise these opportunities. So it's better to go out, knock the door, and show your face, like we say in the previous podcast. So
Mhm.
that's one thing that people should be doing. But but I will say that something that you could do to create, I mean, to be more appealing to the market is to masterize. I mean, to have all the, obviously, to be a generalist, so you're able to wear all the hats. That happened to one of our students during the pandemic, that everybody got laid off but her, because she was able
I
to
remember that.
do it all, to do it all,
She knew a little bit
including
about budgets, how to get
everything,
patients, how to get
everything. Yeah.
studies, how to do the study. Yeah, she knew like
No, she's like,
wow.
we actually have to interview
Wait,
her. Yeah,
where is she
she's
now?
an
Where
amazing.
is she right now?
She's an amazing. She's the director of that site in a
She
hospital.
became the director now.
She's the director
Do you
of
remember
that
her name?
site in, of course,
I'm putting you on the spot.
Mariana.
Mariana, okay. Where's the
Yes,
site? Do you remember?
it's in North Dakota.
Wow. North Dakota, just a side note. If Trump wins, which by all likelihood he will, one of his motto is drill baby drill. States like North Dakota especially are gonna have a boom. I'm talking like I never been there. Dura's brother works there half of the time in fiber optics. They are putting more internet there in that state than anywhere. They're preparing for this boom. Like even without Trump winning, they were gonna eventually do it, but this is gonna expedite it. So there's gonna be every industry there imaginable. Like that's a growth, just a sidebar, but that's a huge growth area.
Yeah, I think the states that are not looking too promising, or they were not looking promising before, now are gonna do.
The flyover states, the
Yeah.
flyover states.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, and I know another student from the CRA Academy that moved to North Dakota for a hospital role as well. So this was like 8 years ago. So I don't know if she's still there,
Yeah.
but uh,
Yeah. So we have these many. I mean, I have so many successful stories to tell, but the thing is when I see extremely successful stories, is because the student is also hungry, right? Like you were
Yeah.
saying, if you have a mind interest because you don't see the big picture, and you do very little to advance your career, obviously that's exactly the same that you're gonna be receiving, right? Very little. But if you go massive, I mean, especially right now with the market being a little bit more competitive and being a little bit more, constrained, then it's important that you work on making yourself better, because I know there are many people that wants to still break in the industry, but they don't do much rather than just sending their CVs, and because they have a background maybe in science, or they think they have knowledge for to be in research, but they have little to no knowledge of research or no experience in research. That's gonna make you a little bit more challenging. I'm not gonna say impossible, but it's a lot more challenging
Yeah.
that for somebody that acquire the knowledge and then have experience. And we give you both at the CRC Academy. We teach you everything you need to know, and we provide you with an internship. And our internship is guaranteed. It's not subject to availability because it's we create it.
There's gonna
So
be
that's
the CRC Academy. I don't think we went public with this. So the CRA Academy, both the CRA and the CRC Academy are gonna be Creo partners in their new partner portal that they launched. And the CRA Academy has started using the EDC version of Creo because our former vendor, BioClinica, got acquired and it's not relevant anymore. But Creo was nice enough to step in and say, hey, you guys can use ours. And we can start incorporating some of that too in our,
in
yeah,
the CB too. I
yep,
mean, we the CRC, they have access to Prio, they have access to eClean Pro, they have access to other platforms that we have put it on purpose. So
real
they
world
have,
systems.
yeah, so it's part of the internship. So
Hmm.
they will be able to put this on the CB. And in addition to that, we give you bonus classes, right? So the one of the bonus classes
Lots.
is how to learn to read the EKG, which is something that is very, very important that you could put in your CV.
Shout out to
And it's
Jeslyn Atanu.
exactly.
She does a really good job teaching that thing.
Yeah. So those are things that we provided as extra, and there is no extra charges or anything like that. It's just part of the program. Whenever we can, we put bonus classes here and there just to enhance the education and to give the students more chances and more opportunities to add to the CV, and then when they apply, obviously that's a plus, right, or a highlight. But yeah, I mean, I think the industry, the jobs here are still available. I will say that for people that's trying to break in the industry, the sites are now the golden nuggets, and also the vendors. That's something
Yeah,
that we haven't mentioned. Vendors have a lot of opportunities right now
a
too because
lot.
they're growing
And
exponentially.
even more if you had site experience, even if you had only 6 months of site experience.
Exactly, exactly. If you have site experience, the next level will be the vendors, and vendors are having a lot of need for new employees because they are growing exponentially.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the space. Things are always changing. That's the one thing that's for sure. But this Latin America trend is not to be ignored. And, obviously, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. I'm going to interview others from Latin America on this. We have Latinos in clinical research, as you can see behind Monica. That's the logo. Just closing thoughts on getting hired in a July 2024 world.
I actually would like to mention that historically the students that they start the class on August are just set to start the new year with a brand new career.
Because the
So,
class is 3 months
plus the internship,
plus the internship. So by then you're ready to like New Year, you're gonna have
new career, new
new
you.
career. So the
So,
link will be underneath. Do you have the date for the August class yet?
yeah, it's gonna start in August 19.
Okay, perfect. So after all the holiday travels and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff. All right, all right. Well, thank you, Monica. Link to the CRC Academy underneath, as always, and then link to Monica's LinkedIn is underneath. And Monica's also a Save Our Sites co-founder. You're gonna be seeing a lot more of her on the SOS stuff, the LICR stuff, everywhere. You're everywhere, Monica. So thank you.
You everywhere.
Well, we try. Guys, go connect with her right now. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Bye bye.
Bye.